Before we get started with today's podcast, we'd like to ask returning listeners to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really enjoy it, share a link to this podcast with friends or family who would enjoy hearing our weekly discussions about basketball and basketball culture. Now, on to the show.
Again, isn't it amazing when Michigan can keep this game to a 19-foot, 9-inch game inside that three-point line? It's all theirs. Nice move by Steve Fisher here. Turn it into the 19-9.
Hello and welcome to the 19-9 podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Meyer. Co-host duties fall to Robert Weyer. He's contributed to several of our redraft episodes. He's here with me in the basement, and figure if it's good enough for Bob Dylan, it's good enough for him. Our guest today is Jared Truby, Hooper, chef, co-owner of Cat and Cloud Coffee. He's bringing that special passion to breaking down players. Thanks so much for joining us today, Jared.
Yep.
Also, we were trying out the YouTube. Whether it gets posted, we will see. But if you see a video later of this, you'll understand why we've got things set up the way we do. We're continuing today the second part in our three-part series on the 1996 draft. Slam Magazine has released a special edition on the greatest draft in NBA history. We're going to continue our own deep dive with a debate between two players who helped define their generation of superstars. Their styles of play represented diametrically different approaches to the game. Our job is, who would you pick? We're going to debate today Steve Nash versus Kobe Bryant. Who would you pick? And wow, I know I read through that, but just thinking about it already, I don't know where you guys are at, but I had a really tough time choosing between these two. I was so confident on Ray Allen, which I have decided that I won. So
not even close.
We'll
not
see.
even close.
We'll see
It's
today.
okay,
we'll
man.
see. We might be more split today.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna start off like that, I mean, I don't know what to say. But anyway, no, I was the same way. I really went into it, and I never was a huge Kobe fan. I mean, I respect how good he was, but I was a huge Nash fan as far as, being the shorter white guy, 6'3", dominating the NBA with passes, doing everything the right way. But I won't get into it too much. But
Yep, similar thing.
You're a California guy. Is it even? Can you even say Steve Nash's name?
I sure can. I can say it very well. No, I'm a similar thing. We should talk about it more, but no, I was never a Laker fan either. So I grew up a Kings fan and a Warriors secondary.
Ooh, okay. So maybe that's
there's a little something to this.
I got it. Let's start with back at the start. I kind of wanted to see where you guys were just in digging into the background, because one of the interesting things for me was looking back into their lives. I didn't know very much at all about Steve Nash. I knew a little bit about Kobe, so I was kind of curious what you guys found out. I know the Italy thing, loved soccer initially, and then coming back to Lower Merion, which is like this weird suburb of Philadelphia. So he's a suburban kid too, just a very different upbringing from the kind of classic NBA upbringing that we tend to think about or stereotype.
Yeah, I'm pretty down. I mean, the thing I do like, no matter what, about Kobe is that he has this hunger for the game and for learning, and he's had that academic side to him since the beginning. And you can see that. You go overseas, you learn culture, you have a broader perspective, and I think you could see his basketball IQ come out from all that stuff.
I read some stuff and listened to some stuff about it. The one thing I found was interesting was like how much different it was for him when he went to Marion, as far as like the kids used certain slang and stuff, and he didn't know what it meant. Like he went home and somebody told him don't sleep on him, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" So he said it was Kobe that said it. He said he went and talked to his sister and was like, "Somebody told me not to sleep on her today. What does that mean?" And they try to figure it out together. So it's kind of a weird story when it comes to he had to kind of figure out how to talk differently, at high school, just to try to fit in to the culture.
One of the biographers described him as a person with unfiltered confidence. I said, is that a nice way of saying he was an asshole? Or because I want to start using that. I'm not an asshole. I just have unfiltered confidence.
I mean, the guy had everything going for him.
Yes.
Tall, baller, good looking, spoke multiple languages, obviously a smart guy.
Yeah. Maybe deserved. That's the difference. He deserved it. Did you guys watch any of his games, his high school games?
I just watched a few highlights here and there. They showed the one where they won it, like I think they won their state tournament, right?
Lost.
Or they lost.
Yeah.
So I watched how they got there or whatever.
Yeah.
I watched some of this stuff. I mean, it looked like he made a pass more during high school than he did in the pros.
Interesting. She's throwing shade already.
I'm just saying, like, he had some pretty nice dishes. It's like, but I was only seeing the highlights, so I wasn't seeing the whole games. I didn't have time to watch the whole games.
Yeah. Jared, you check.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a slightly different player, but we can get into that in a second. He definitely did pass a little more back then. Different game though. I more followed a lot of I looked at the old stats. I went back through the sheets and did some comparisons.
Yeah.
Found some interesting things.
I did like but the mythology of him starts here, right? He is playing these pickup balls with Stackhouse, and there's this kind of myth that he beats Stackhouse, and I love that Stackhouse has like come out strong and been like, come on guys, like I was an NBA All-Star, like yeah, he might have beat me, but he was not like wiping the floor with me. So I think it's so interesting, especially in an era before everyone had their cameras out, not everything's, taped or tweeted instantly. Like there's that ability for a myth to take hold. And it seems like it did with Kobe, at least a little bit.
I don't think in today's players would have ever played, like they wouldn't have played Kobe. Because, it would have been on Instagram. Somebody would have recorded it. And then if they would have got beat, it would have been like the biggest laughing stock ever, right? Like, so they wouldn't even played that kid. You know what I mean? Took a chance. It's not worth it, with social media.
You can always play. I remember I had my buddy Jordan back in the day, and he was the guy who was playing in college, 6'6", fast, handles, all that stuff. And I beat him one time in a one-on-one game. One of the only friends in the world who got to actually beat him. It's the same idea. Like everybody can win a one-on-one, and he was playing hard. I just had a good game.
Yeah.
But he's going to beat me 99 out of 100 games, and so that's probably how it was for Kobe and Stackhouse. I beat him one time.
Jumper was falling. I got him.
I had him on the drive, baby.
Oh,
I did see a couple things about his high school thing. Did you see where his dad was the assistant coach there for a couple years?
No, that pioneering there.
Yeah, it
That's
showed
more
that
popular now.
They would pull Kobe out of the game, and I guess Kobe, he never wanted to come out, so he would be frustrated and yelling. And his dad had to talk to him in what is Italian?
Yeah, Italian.
Yeah,
Italian. He would talk to him in that language to try to calm him down, and the coach never knew what he was even saying to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that was pretty interesting. And it said that in his high school, the coach, I guess he was a new coach whenever it happened, and I guess Marion was not a very good school before Kobe got there.
No, not at all.
And
right.
They talked about how he would just bring old players in that played college ball to try to go up against Kobe, to try to make him better, to make it harder on him.
Have to, yeah.
And I also heard another story where they used to go to where the Temple played, and he was 13 or 14, and Eddie Jones was on Temple, I guess.
Okay.
And he actually invited him to come play with him. Like, they played, like the younger guys played first, and then like the college guys would play afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually invited him to come play with him.
Okay.
That's an honor. That'd be cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
that
that
would
would
have
be
been so cool as a high school kid. All right, let's talk about Steve Nash. So what did you guys find out about him? Because there's not as much out there about him. I mean, this guy grows up in Canada, again playing soccer. So I think that's kind of an interesting, similarity between the two of them, and maybe speaks to something about playing multiple sports and just soccer in general, how it translates into basketball. But curious what you guys found out about Steve Nash when you were looking around.
No, I kind of back that. I think there is something to. I used to play roller hockey before I played basketball,
Nice.
and just in California we don't have ice, right? But it's a similar thing, like soccer and hockey. You have this thing about seeing the floor and passing and intuition and being able to make moves before people make them. And I think in basketball it translates really well. I do believe in like the multifaceted learner trainer person. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Nash is just an interesting guy. He's a short little dude.
No.
Runs forever,
Yeah.
just like the motor of all motors. And I think he's just a really smart guy. Didn't get his ring till he got to the Warriors. I don't know what's up.
Hey, he did get one, though.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I want to talk.
Okay, my bad. Yeah.
No, that's good. No,
Hey,
I love
on a
it. Throw it
side
in there.
note, did you see where Stoudemire is joining his coaching staff?
He is. He's going to be assistant coach.
Assistant
That's
coach.
sick.
I think it is
Good on
cool.
him.
I mean, I think that shows somehow how great like he got along with his teammates that he's bringing one along with him.
Yeah.
To coach with him.
Imagine
That's
Shaq and Kobe as coach and assistant coach.
That would have never happened. Well, I did read something on Kobe where he said he could have never been a coach.
Yeah.
Just because of how he was and he couldn't relate to the players. That's the same thing with like Jordan. There's no way Jordan could ever be a coach just because he'd be too hard on the players and the players wouldn't take it. And, in today's NBA, you can't be that hard on them. It would never happen. Everything would be
Different
public,
world.
and it would be like they'd be cutting him down left and right.
So did you watch any of the Steve Nash stuff, Santa Clara stuff, or what'd you?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. You sent me that one game, and I tell you what, that was the hardest game I think I've
can't believe you
ever
actually
had to
watched
watch.
it. I turned it
I
off.
watched the whole thing because I was like, well, Aaron sent this to me, so at some point,
It's
Steve
the only one I
Nash
could
has got to
find.
do something, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, he's got to like start hitting threes or something, and it just never happened.
Nails those free throws.
He hit the free throws. He did some big
That's
free
about
throws.
it.
But
Well, here's why. I think kind of the rundown is right that he's recruited by one school, ends up going to Santa Clara. Jared, you probably know where Santa Clara is. Most people
It's
probably
like
don't even.
30 minutes away from me.
Yeah,
45.
that's
so
awesome.
kind of in the basketball hemisphere in the middle of nowhere because there's not like a lot. It's not a basketball mecca or anything.
Silicon Valley,
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. So he's really gets in there, and his first year, he really talks about how he had to adapt to the college level. Even this guy is about like adaptation, learning the team game, just figuring things out. Ends up being a winner and the best player in the NBA. But I mean, he's definitely comes from a very different place. I mean, Jared was just talking about Kobe, the unrestrained confidence and how it was maybe deserved. This guy's beating Stackhouse in high school, and here's Steve Nash trying to figure out college basketball for 4 years too.
it's kind of like he was like the Rocky of basketball.
Oh, not bad.
Like the underdog. Nobody would have ever guessed that he could have done it. And even he bet his coach there. I think it was his coach or another player that he was going to go to the NBA $100, and the guy bet him. And like when he was a freshman or something, he's like, "There's no way you're going to the NBA. Like you're crazy."
Give me my hundy.
Yeah.
But and it wasn't his scholarship. Like the last game of his senior year, he got that.
Yeah,
the coach came.
He
It was
wrote
like the
letters.
last game.
Yeah, he wrote letters to a bunch of
and
places.
it was another college that could not recruit him. They had no scholarships left, and they called Santa Clara to go look at him.
Yep.
It's just crazy story how you can go from one scholarship to a team. I mean, that's pretty impressive though. That Santa Clara made the tournament 3 years?
Yeah.
I mean, for a small college like that,
For sure.
but he really didn't do much in that game we watched.
No, I know.
That team played really good.
He showed moves though that were NBA level
Oh, well,
moves.
he's
Like the way
kinda
he went by guys, the way he could his vision, like it was different.
He reminded me, like watching that was kind of like how, Rubio never turned out to be what they thought he was going to be.
Right.
But he has the same kind of vision. Like he sees stuff
For
way
sure.
before it happens. Kind of like Rondo.
Yeah.
Like he's so smart. He just reads the defense and knows where the players should be.
That's good.
And with Nash, that's why they picked him up in the NBA was because they could see that he could see things that people couldn't.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, that is what makes that guy special.
All right, I've got
certain
a
players have
Nash clip for you, but Bobby's taking a sip of coffee. I brewed him up some Cat and Cloud coffee.
Oh,
So
did
I
you?
know, yeah, a little Guatemala. So
A little juicy
Delicious.
evening for you.
yeah, I know.
is
and
delicious.
you're at one of my pilgrimage sites there. Someday I'm gonna get out there and see the shop. Beautiful.
Here it
so
is.
people are seeing the video. It is pretty awesome. Can people come in still? guys back
Only
to-
in through here. You want
Takeaway?
Here you go. Through the door over there.
Yeah. Oh, so it's
Oh,
like
look, more art.
in and out.
They can like walk through and then like that door into that door to that door.
Pick up some coffee though.
Yeah, come through. That's the west side. They also get a breakfast burrito.
I was gonna say you
Smell your face.
getting food though.
Yeah, this is the spot for the breakfast burrito over on Swift
Yeah.
Street. Holla back.
Yeah.
You're a long way away though. Once
I
you come over,
know.
you'll see them all.
I know. We're gonna get out there though.
You got a whole day.
All right, Nash Cliff. Here we go.
Do it.
The 07 is the one everyone mentions. I
The
thought that
suspensions?
Spurs team, yeah, I thought that Spurs team was really good. I even thinking about it 10 years later, the suspensions were ludicrous.
Yeah.
I really hated that they did that. I still feel like the Spurs were really good that year. It would have
They
been
were
a
good.
task to beat that. in
They
seven.
were good. I still feel, and I don't look back like blaming or
Yeah.
I'm like we lost.
Yeah.
But if you want to break it down, we went home I think with a chance to go up 3-2.
Yeah.
And we missed Amari and Boris, and we were thin on the front line, and we were winning until the last minute at home and lost. And so
I don't remember that part.
Yeah,
It was close.
I think we're up 3 in the last minute, and they hadn't had the lead until the last minute at least, and they beat us by 3 maybe. But so we hung on valiantly, but got beat, and then go back out there and they beat us. But I like to think that team, if we had been able to get through the Spurs, had a pretty decent look at it.
So I think that I don't know, for me, that clip like summed up Nash in so many ways, because he talks about right before that, Popovich kind of forcing him into scoring a lot because Popovich didn't want him to create for his teammates and facilitate the game. He wanted him to have to choose to score because he knew that wasn't his mindset. And then he talks about losing there, and he just he's able to let it go in a way that, for me, is kind of like, it's weird to talk about sports in this way. It's a little bit hyperbolic, but I love sports so much that it's I think worth doing, that it helps to define like life in itself. Like, he's able to let the loss go, to say it's okay, we lost. And when we talk about Kobe, I've got a couple stories like that was not him. Like, he was not there's no way that he's thinking about that. Like, he hates every one of those officials. He hates all of the players that let him down. He just has like such a different outlook on sports, and maybe, I mean, I don't know him obviously personally, but you tend to project onto a player how they play on the court to their off-court life as well. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. It seemed like he carried himself a little bit like that off the court as well. I think we'll get into some of that stuff. But what do you guys think of the clip, and then we can start talking about just Nash and Kobe as pro players, because I think that's the crux of it, and deciding who we're gonna have.
Oh man. Okay. I mean, I hear you on that. I think that's maybe the difference of, it's like, okay, Nash never got his ring. We can talk about it in a minute, but that approach is a better approach. The whole just understanding the big picture. And it is hard to have to be the scorer and the point guard. Like, the point is to facilitate. And then if you have to be the scorer and the point guard, I can just empathize with that, because I remember my coach being my senior year, we lost all of the other players. So I was like the remaining person, and I was the point guard. And he's all, you're going to need to score minimum 20 points a game for us to be a winning team this year. And I'm all, cool. And if you're not a scorer by default, you have to learn that. It's a whole different world. So I just kind of empathize with him, and I appreciate his willingness to step up. And I think it's probably healthier to not have that like ride or die, if I lose, the world's over. But I think that might be why people like Kobe and Jordan like they do. So it's a non-answer answer.
I didn't they say, like, earlier in that certain podcast, didn't he say that he never went back and watched film on himself?
He doesn't.
He said that he doesn't live in the past. He only goes to the future.
I think he watches film, but maybe like more specifically.
I think he said that's the first time he's watched that game.
Really?
I thought that's what they said at the beginning of the podcast.
That would make sense, though.
He said he said I lived it, so why do I want to watch it again? Like,
different mindset.
Yeah. So, where Kobe probably would have watched it 50 times and wrote down notes of, I got to do this. This guy's never going to do this to me again. I'm going to shut this guy down. I'm going to do, and he would have broke it down so much. And, we'll get more into that, I'm sure, because there's plenty of things to say about it.
Oh, okay.
That
So,
mindset.
no, this leads perfectly into it. So I've got a little Kobe story here that goes into that. So November 12th, 1996, Allen Iverson drops 35 on Kobe. And he goes into the locker room and flips chairs, throws the table over, breaks a TV, just goes nuts. He started reading every article he could find about Allen Iverson, watching every game, going back to the IUPU All-American game. He watched every success, every struggle. He started studying great white sharks hunting seals off the coast of South Africa. The patience, the timing, the angles. And he said, I score 50, you score 0. That's his game. And he wasn't satisfied. So he gets to the game. He guards Iverson. Iverson scores 16 in the first half. He has around that. The second half, he ends up with like 30. Iverson scores 0 in the second half. And he says, I wasn't satisfied. I was annoyed that he made me feel that way in the first place. Like, my mind was blown reading that, like that was his mindset, because I don't even know, right? Studying great white sharks, what's happening?
You can't get in that mind. I mean, I can't. I mean, who even thinks of that stuff?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't even know what to say.
I mean, that's the Mamba mentality.
I know.
That's the Jordan mentality. Those are certain people that are like that, and I'm not one. I mean, I am a little bit actually,
Yeah.
but not quite to that level where it's like about one person. It's always about me, and that's what he's doing. But he did it just for Iverson. That's
Right.
nuts.
Yeah.
Borderline psychotic.
I know. I told Bobby, I'm like, it's a good thing that he became a basketball player because there's some things that he might have happened that might not have been good for any of us.
The worst executive ever.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wonder though if the Iverson thing was based on he was
Draft
drafted.
position.
Was
Yeah.
Iverson was drafted number 1?
I'm
You know,
sure.
and he was thinking I should have been number 1. I need to prove to everybody that I was better than him. I'm sure that fueled him.
No doubt.
You know, because like if that draft happens 3 years later, and they look at the high school prospects differently, because Kobe was one of the early high school guys coming out.
Yeah.
So like it was unheard of. I don't know, where did Garnett go the year before? It was pretty high, but I don't think it was top 10. was it?
Minnesota, he went 5 to Minnesota.
Okay. So, I mean, like to pick Kobe over all those great players in college, like it was just unheard of.
Well, a
Like,
guard
Right.
too. Yeah.
you know, a guard that. So, I mean, like I said, if it would have been a couple years later, I think like he would have got drafted probably the top 5. You know,
For
just
sure.
because that draft was so deep
Yeah.
that. And it probably did fuel him. I'm sure it did. I mean, imagine a guy that's been told he's going to be the next great thing since he's been like 13, and he goes 15th. Like, you know, the ego, I can only imagine. I'm not saying that he was, you know, I would have had a huge ego. I mean, let's be honest. If you're 13, they're telling you you're the next Michael Jordan. I mean, I'm going to think
yeah.
I'm pretty good. And I'm going to be like, what do you mean? I'm supposed to be the next Jordan, and you're going to take all these people ahead of me? Are you crazy?
Okay, this comes back to Nash then, because this is interesting. See if you know who says this. Flow, of course, being shorthand for a state of mind that artists and athletes strive for. Nash depended on motion and flow. He brought back the way basketball should be played. Who said that about?
You see that all over.
Who said that about him?
Nope.
Who
Who said that about?
That's Kobe.
Oh, Kobe said
So
it.
Kobe's recognizing, because it's weird to think that those two ended up teammates.
Yeah, but they really weren't. They
I
were
know.
teammates, but they weren't teammates. They really didn't play
I know, but
healthy
It was
together.
different.
But clearly there was a level of admiration and respect for one another, and maybe that speaks to where Kobe got to, because I think that is for me the crux of the argument, like for or against Kobe, is how long it takes him to get to this place where I do see him. Because when Jared and I talked about him, like I was out on him almost completely, and then Jared brings up the Olympics, and we watch those Olympic games, and he is awesome in those. Like the guys on that team, which are the greatest players still, you know, LeBron is still the best player in the NBA, have a level of respect for him and are looking to him in a way that has to mean something. Like it just does. Like those guys recognize greatness. They recognize, like, I can learn something from this guy. This guy has something to offer to me. That's a special thing.
Yep. That was always the thing about Kobe, is he took it really serious, and you could tell he was not on that. That was what we talked about, right? Is Kobe was in that game, and when things weren't going right, some of the younger players, you could see their ego getting in the mix, and Kobe had matured at that point to this place where he was like, he wasn't even playing a part of it. He was just in the game and figuring out what to do to win. And that's the shark mentality, I guess.
He learned that from the shark.
He learned that from the great white sharks hunting
He
seals.
totally did, dude.
I wish I could have came up with that. That was just great.
All right, I got a Kobe clip here. This is Vince Carter talking about him. This might go to what Bobby was saying about his attitude of how he thought of himself in high school.
The beginning of the Kobe Shaq era, it says the assembled talent before Del Harris was breathtaking. Harris asked each man to stand and introduce himself. Shaquille O'Neal, Jolly and Giggly. He stood first. He nodded. He said, "What's up? I'm Shaq. Let's do this." "Yo, I'm Kobe. Kobe Bryant. I'm from Pennsylvania, went to Lower Merion High School, dominated everything. I just wanted y'all to know nobody's going to punk me. I'm not going to let anyone in the NBA punk me, so be warned.
First of all, just listen to how Kobe thought in a meeting, in an introduction meeting. And I think setting the tone, letting those guys know, hey, this is who I am and this is how I think. Well, I met Kobe in high school, and he came onto our AAU team, and he walked in, and he really didn't say much. And he came off the bench originally, and as our sixth man to our team. So that tells you our team was pretty good. And then you add a 16, 17-year-old Kobe Bryant, and he comes in as our point guard, shooting at half court, jump shots, shoots an air ball the first time. The second time he comes down, he shoots at half court, he makes it. What statement do you need to take to make after that?
So you got Kobe, half court.
Classic.
Air ball. Don't worry about that. I will shoot that again.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
I wish I would have been on the other side of that. The sixth man on an AAU team is Kobe Bryant with Vince Carter on the starting lineup.
I mean, what goes what goes in somebody's head that they think I want to pull up from half court to impress somebody? Is
I
it
don't
three
know.
not a three anymore? Or
I think those guys. I heard this about LeBron a lot in high school too. Like some people would question his shot selection, but I think it's just that they're so good that they really do get bored. Like it just is like, what am I gonna do? Like you can do anything you want, and most of the guys are like me. If they're going up against like me or you, I'm sorry, but it's just not gonna be that as much fun for them at some point. Like if you're Kobe, right?
What if we would have missed that second shot? You think he fires up a third one?
100%, 100%, Mamba mentality.
I mean, did you watch the playoff game against who was
That's true.
the first Laker game where he shot up 4 straight shots, and not 4 straight, but the 4 air balls.
Yeah,
and he had guys wide open on each side of him.
That was pretty classic Kobe.
I mean, the plays all drawn up for Eddie Jones, and he's like, "No, it's all right. I got this. I got Shaq, Eddie Jones, and Van Exel, but I got this."
Yeah, so let's say I know. See, no, you guys are right. Like, but I feel like we'll get back to Kobe because we got to find some positive things. But let's talk about Nash because he then carves out this almost completely opposite again pro career, just like his college and high school experiences were completely different. He's sitting on the bench to start behind Jason Kidd and Kevin Johnson with the Suns. But he comes into this like weird 3-guard lineup, starts playing, then goes to the Mavericks with Dirk. Seems to find like his perfect pairing, but they refuse to sign him. Ends up on the Suns, and I mean reimagines basketball. I mean he and Mike D'Antoni, and I don't know where you want to put the majority of the credit. Maybe they just share it, but basically invented the way we play basketball today. I mean, I know that Curry and some other people deserve credit for taking it even further, but I think you can at least see the start of it with those 7 seconds or less Suns.
I think it was the start of it.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, go ahead.
Get it.
Okay. Now, what I was going to say is you skipped a lot there. I think it was great for his beginning of his career that he was able to play with Kidd and KJ. They were both unbelievable players. I mean, the Kid's going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he is already.
Not yet, yeah.
And at the time, KJ was just awesome. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but he was the man. So, I mean, he got to learn from them. And they said that KJ told him in practice, and this is what Nash said, that he told him one day, hey, you're going to be just as good as me or better. He said that's when he realized that, he said, I can see you have all the tools to do this. And that's when he started building his confidence. So it really was very fortunate that he was able to start his career over there. What I thought was interesting, too, is, I think it was in that movie you sent me. They had it on there where he went to Dallas because they traded him. And then Dallas signed him to that huge contract, but then he got that back problems.
Right.
And so, like, all the fans were mad at him because they signed this big contract, and he's never had back problems. All of a sudden, he's playing through injury, and nobody, fans don't care. They just want to see the results. They don't care if the guy's out there and he's battling through everything, And they actually would boo him when he shot. Like, he almost wanted to quit because it was so bad. Like, Dirk said he felt so sorry for him because the fans they didn't understand, like, he wasn't him because he couldn't shoot because he couldn't move because of his back.
Right.
I mean, and the fact that he overcame that and then was able to, like, kind of get his career going with Dallas at the end, and then Cuban just made the worst mistake of his executive career by getting rid of him, thinking that he was done, and then he goes to Phoenix.
Underpay, yeah, just would.
Well,
he
thought he didn't think that he thought he was going to go downhill because of his back problems. He didn't want to give him this huge contract, and take the risk.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead, Jared.
Nah, big mistake. I think it was probably crucial that he did get to learn under Kidd and KJ. I mean, Kidd, again, one of the greatest minds and greatest point guards. You're going to see that he already had, like, the flow. And I'd say that's maybe the thing with Nash that I noticed the most is that the soccer translation, right? His ability to run, and keep moving while dribbling fast and with flow, like that Kobe was saying. That is the thing that makes him stand out beyond somebody like Kidd, because Kidd could pass.
Right.
Kidd couldn't shoot as well.
Till the end. The end he could.
But I mean,
sort of. He just stood there and hit shots. That's a little bit. That's a little different.
But he made
it. It's a little different. Yeah.
But the thing is like Nash figured out how to keep, like, that guy could move like nobody else with the ball. And you're right, Curry. It's different. Curry like learned from Nash. That D'Antoni combo.
Yeah.
That was sick. Even when I wasn't a fan, like I am now, I would watch and I'd be like, that team is fun to watch. Man.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. It was just a different style. I just wish that, like, Nash in a different podcast was talking about how he wishes that they would have shot more threes. Like, it was just unknown to shoot that many threes. They were already reinventing the wheel. They just didn't take it to the next level. I mean, could you imagine if Nash would have shot 3 or 4 more threes a game? Like, how good a shooter he was? Like, I was watching that the 2010, I think it was, the playoffs with Kobe. I mean, he's hitting some pretty nice, like, fall-away threes and stuff. It ain't like he's just standing there just shooting easy shots. Like, he create his own shot, too. He just didn't believe in it because he was a team guy first. Like, his job in his head was to get everybody to be the best player possible, and that's what a point guard's job was, is to get them in the right spots. That's just what he believed.
That's where I'm with you 100%. That's why I like him so much and he did that. I was so tripped out to see that his average of his career is like 14 points a game. I'm like, you're dropping 40 points a game in all these games I remember plus. And it's because – and then you think about, like, your best teammate was probably Dirk Nowitzki.
For sure.
A young Dirk. Dirk.
Right.
Yeah. It wasn't Dirk, we know
Yeah. So, like, what if it was Steve Nash and Shaq? Like,
we've been talking about that. Oh, yeah. Totally different.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Shaq is the presence in the inside. And not to take from Kobe, but it's like, what if Kobe was the only and he didn't have the middle? Like, I mean, Amari's fine and big, but no Shaq. No Shaq.
Yeah.
No Shaq
so
in
it's
his
just
prime.
a different world.
Yeah.
No, exactly. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to compare. And 6'3", 6'8", different people.
Here's the thing, though, that I wonder, and this kind of gets us back to that core of the argument, though. And Nash said it himself, is like, I still didn't make enough plays to win. Like, he'll own up to that. He'll hold himself accountable for that. And that does matter. Like, Kobe still made those plays. He had Shaq, but he made the plays. He won the championships. He's got 5. Nash has got 0. I mean, that has to count too, because it's not, even though Shaq was incredible, and he was, like, he doesn't, you could say the opposite too. Shaq doesn't win those championships without Kobe. I'm not saying he doesn't win any championships. I'm just saying that he needed Kobe to win those. The Kings, some of those other teams would have knocked just Shaq and Eddie Jones team off.
Well, the argument of that, though, is how many would have Shaq won if he had, let's say, if he would have had Nash. If he would have had, say, Iverson, I mean, how many does he win? I mean, because Kobe could Kobe's career, he
Nash
still
have
wanted to
gotten
be
him
the
on
best player, and he wasn't the best player. Like,
so Nash is real famous for inventing the no sugar diet and really, like, getting these NBA guys onto it. He even, like, ordered for some of his teammates.
That was later on in his
career.
career.
No, but I'm saying, what if he had gotten Shaq onto the no sugar diet?
That wouldn't have happened.
You did.
But I think, though, that the difference would have been is if you have a Nash running the floor, then Shaq's gonna get the ball, right?
Yeah.
If Shaq's open and he's running the floor, so that's gonna get him more motivated to be in better shape, to run the floor, and if you just get the ball to Kobe, he's gonna shoot it.
Right.
And Shaq could pass. That's the other thing. Like, I think there could have been some chemistry. I mean, we're obviously talking shit. It's like, when are they ever going to play together? But you picture Shaq could pass well. So you got Nash and Shaq running maybe a triangle, or even the other way around.
Well, just thinking, then you got Eddie Jones on the wing.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe they trade Nick Van Exel and they get somebody else.
Robert Weyer ends up in the Hall of
Oh, Robert Weyer. Here we go. He always gets his Ori. I mean, Ori's one of the reasons why Nash didn't get his ring.
Oh.
That cheap shot.
Yeah, he did.
That changed everything, man.
Right here, that's how you win. You gotta be mean.
Listen to you.
That's politics, baby.
Yeah, that was the NBA at the time.
Okay,
I got a smart man.
If you guys haven't checked this out, did you guys see the 3-Ring Circus, that book that came out about those Lakers championships, the first ones? Oh my God! So there's a couple of incredible clips about Kobe in there, or stanzas about Peja. So one of them didn't invite one teammate to his wedding. Pretty tough.
I mean, the same guy that didn't talk to his parents for years.
They've got training camp in Hawaii. He declines to the dinner, doesn't go, then shows up 30 minutes late, sits by himself, and reads a book.
He was reading about sharks.
Okay. Here's this one. This one was the most incredible one. It sounds completely made up. I should have made you guys pick which one of these is made up because they're all true. Donald Trump breaks up a fight between Kobe Bryant and Jason Williams of the New Jersey Nets.
I don't see that
in 1998. No, that happened in an elevator. Kobe Bryant and Jason Williams got into a fight. Donald Trump was in the same elevator, broke up the fight between them. Incredible.
Way to go, Donnie. I don't even know.
Put that in the win column for him. Okay, 8 years So my whole crux of this, though, is you get 8 years of Kobe like picking on people, right? So Paul Shirley was one of those guys asking people to get Gatorade in 3 different flavors or sizes and then telling him to, like, you know, that's not the right one. That's not the right one. Or you get Nash. And I mean, it just, like, to me, this is like, what made it so hard to pick is, like, I know Kobe's the better basketball player. There's no metric that I could come up with. Like, when I wrote down their stats, and you guys can throw some out here, but I was like, I wrote down Nash's and then I wrote Kobe, like, too many, you know, like, it just wasn't, I don't know. Like, I just don't know how do you weigh the basketball greatness that he exemplified against, like, obviously being a difficult teammate.
Jeez, man. I don't know. I was like, okay, what if I took each assist that Nash gave and just gave 2 points and said, okay, this is actually your average when you were averaging 18 points and almost 19 points and 11 assists. I'm like, okay, so that averages out too. But you're right. Like, the metrics by themselves, they all swing Kobe. But then I go back to, like, well, what if you put the same kind of caliber people around Nash as you did around Kobe, and maybe it's a different world for Nash? I don't know, man. I can't do apples to apples. It's also 6 foot 3-point guard, baller at 6'8", like, you know, different worlds.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just, like you said, it's just totally 2 different type of players. I mean, the other story that I saw too, to go to your point real quick, was Kobe did an interview and they asked him about his teammates when he was younger. And one of the stories that he gave was he literally made one of them cry because he told him that he didn't deserve to be in the NBA. It was a foreign player, and I forget who they said it was. He played like 10 years in the NBA or something.
Was it Slava Medvedenko?
No, it wasn't him. It was some other guy.
Coach? No, that was the other thing. Never mind. That's Jordan.
And
definitely made him cry.
He didn't even realize how bad it sounded until after he said it, and then it's like the reporter, it was like 60 Minutes or something, was like, so you made somebody cry because you told them they weren't good enough to be on a team? And he's like, well, I mean, and he kind of changed the story and went on to something else because then he realized, you know, how bad it really sounded. You know,
right?
And the other thing that I read an article today too. I mean, I just like to say this: Kobe was an unbelievable basketball player. I mean, we're always saying a lot of bad things about Kobe because we're all trying to convince ourselves that we should take Nash over Kobe. So, but the thing that I was reading was, and it makes sense, and you'll probably like it because you're a Kings fan, right? So they were saying that the NBA really wanted him to be the next Jordan.
Right.
So, like, they were talking about, like, all NBA teams that Kobe made. And one of the things they said was the one year, I can't remember exactly what it was, but Iverson was averaging 31 points, beating him in every statistic, but yet Kobe got first team over him. Like, it wasn't even close. And then they showed, like, the next year, like, Chris Paul had, like, a unbelievable year. Like, shot, like, 43% from threes. And, like, the only stat Kobe had was, like, 3 more points a game or something, but Paul beat him like averaged 12 assists or something, but Paul didn't make the first team. You know, and then they were talking about like how many all defensive teams he made and how really he didn't deserve to be on any of them. And they said that the team was actually, it's just from the article I read, so I mean, I don't know if it, you know, I'm not going to like say that it's exact, but it just said that the team actually had a worse defensive rating with him in the game than him off the game, out of the game. So they said that he never, when he won his defensive awards, sometimes he wasn't even the lead like person in steals for the team, and he never was the leading block guy.
Right.
But somehow he would get all defensive team. They said that, you know, like it was like they wanted him to be Jordan because he was the face. I mean, before the whole rape charge happened, if you remember right, Kobe was the poster child. Like everything.
Him and Vince Carter.
That was before that happened. Like the NBA face was Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. He makes the All-Star game. Was it his
Second year?
Second year. He didn't deserve to be on that All-Star team, but he made it just because of his names and he did some fancy dunks. Right? He averaged 15 points a game. You know, like it wasn't.
Damn.
They were fancy though.
You know, it's like I watched like the last 6 years of his career. He was an All-Star every year. 1 year he only played 9 games.
Yeah.
The last year
We get voted in as a starter. I mean, that's just.
Well,
like,
I'm just saying,
respect.
like, I don't, like, I just think that the accolades sometimes don't represent exactly when it came to All-Star votes back then. Like, you just got voted in. Like, Kobe got voted in how many times because of his name? Now, I mean, that's just my outlook. Like, was he really first? Like, the 1 year they said, like, Tracy McGrady was unbelievable, and they left him off first team.
Right.
For Kobe. So, like, there was just a lot of, like, why was he never MVP twice?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
the only thing I do want to get his defense. I feel like his defensive game, and maybe it just is that he played better against the people he wanted to play better against, because he had that competitive spirit. Because that was something I always did think Kobe was exceptionally good at, especially for a taller dude. He was good at D, I thought.
well, was it one-on-one D or was it team defense?
Well, that's the thing.
There's a big difference.
No, it's the one-on-one D, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're not going to score on me D, and so that.
Like,
that,
I'm not going to
I think
leave
is
you
what's
and I'll let
interesting about
somebody
his stats.
score. Like the Iverson
Yeah, and that's
thing.
interesting.
You know, like
It's like you won't beat me, but the team could beat me, and that was an interesting point you just brought up, because that was something that would have gone over my head, except for you put the stats out there, and I think you're probably right. It was just all about that one-on-one. I mean, he shot so many shots a game. I mean, how many? Like a million? What was
well,
it?
it's kind of like his 60-point game to finish
81 point game.
I mean, no, the 60,
81.
Yeah,
his final of his career. You know,
yeah.
everybody made a big deal. He shot like over 50 shots to
Yeah.
get 60 points.
Wow,
Like,
that's just for fun. Though.
Well, I
That's
know,
like an
but,
all-star game.
But people use that as a reference for how good
I would
he
say
was.
that year that he scored over 35 points a game, where he got the 81-point game, was kind of a crazy year.
Oh, no,
where
it was.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was an unbelievable basketball player. There's no question in anybody's mind. It's just, it comes down to what we were talking about of who do you want to be on your team?
Yeah.
Who's going to, like, if I'm drafting a team and say that I'm not, I mean, most teams that are in the top 5 don't have a good team. I mean, most teams aren't like the Warriors, right?
Right.
So let's say that, who's the worst team in the NBA right now?
Wizards.
Well, Wizards got Wall and stuff.
The Pistons.
Okay, we'll say the Pistons because they're. We'll say that. Let's go Bobcats. Is it Bobcats still or is it
No, they're the Hornets.
Hornets? that's how bad.
Back
they
and
are.
forth.
Let's say that he got drafted there, right? Yeah. Like, do you think that the next year they're probably going to be in the lottery again? Do you think he's going to be able to play with a netter young stud to build together with somebody?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, does he have the personality to grow with somebody? Like, Nash, like they have with Nash, they talked about Dirk and how Dirk, like when he first got in the league, he came over with that trade. Dirk was a rookie, and how Dirk was homesick, but Nash basically became like his best friend. He like let him go out with all his buddies from Canada when they came down. Like Dirk ended up moving into the same apartment complex. Like they grew a bond that they still are that close. Like. That's kind of person Nash was. So he could have worked with anybody.
Yeah, so I want to throw this. I want to throw this to Jared because I'm kind of curious because you like to write about leadership and I think you have some good thoughts on that. He talks about his approach never wavering. What I did adjust, though, was how I varied my approach from player to player. This is later in his career. I still challenged everyone and made them feel uncomfortable. He had this big thing about making people feel uncomfortable. I just did it in a way later that was tailored to them. So I was kind of just curious about your outlook on that. And then could you, as like, because again, we're imaginary GMs, could you even envision yourself having a guy like this on your team, and how would you like approach leading someone like that?
Right. So that is Kobe's quote, right?
Yeah.
Just to be super
Yep.
clear.
Yes.
I was like, that doesn't sound like Nash, but let's make sure.
I'm in the
It's
flow.
hard.
I'm in
I
the
think-
flow, but I want him to feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that initial, I mean, we're talking about basketball, right? So you're talking about this ice cold winner's mentality. I don't know if it works the same now as it would and maybe did then. Like his time might be different. I think that's where Kobe might have learned, oh, this shit doesn't work the same as it used to. Now I have to tailor my approach to different people. Getting people uncomfortable in a way where they feel like safe enough to improve and like hear you and feel weird and get better is actually a talent. It's for sure a talent.
Yeah,
Definitely.
But I think that's the thing. Is it's like somebody like Steve Nash, I think, is a timeless leader. And I think that it sounds like Kobe might have learned, but maybe a little too late. And he still had to be the guy. Like, did he ever allow somebody else to be the guy on that team? And I feel like that's the difference between a leader and a superstar is like you can be a superstar and come and go, and he's forever. I mean, you're right. Stat sheets, wins, he's got it. So you can't argue it. At the same time, the timeless leader is probably somebody like Steve Nash who's going to bring everybody else together and bring that glue to a team and make them want to have that flow, and he's going to make everybody better. You do need somebody to challenge, though. That's where a coach is supposed to be, right? It shouldn't be all the players' jobs.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. If I wanted to play with somebody, I'd want to play with Steve Nash because I'd feel like I got a chance to get better. If you play with Kobe, you get to support Kobe.
Yeah, you get the ball
for
whenever
real.
he decides.
Yeah.
Whenever he decides
Yeah.
or he goes out of the game, that's when you have a chance to score.
Yeah,
But-
and you got what, like 3 minutes?
Yeah,
So
so-
3 minutes to shine and then go back to watching Kobe score. And that's, I don't know, that's just not the kind of ball I like.
Yeah.
No, that's
So that's tough for me.
I wanted to ask you guys kind of the last question as we're closing out here. How do we factor in their post-career legacy? So we get the benefit of looking back on these guys' careers, and now with these two guys, I mean, Nash is gonna, unfortunately, with the tragedy with Kobe, he's gonna have a longer tail to the end of it. But it does tell us something about who they were even as players, watching who they become after. I think, Kobe really showed a different side of himself. And I like to think that maybe his teammates did see a part of that. I mean, he's absolutely loved by the Lakers franchise. I mean, Jeannie Buss is effusive about him. They got rid of Shaq for him. So, I mean, there has to have been something, a core to him that they knew, and they knew him a lot better than we ever will get to. There had to be something there, and I like to think maybe what we saw afterwards is something that they got to see on a more day-to-day basis. And then Nash, we've got this, coaching legacy now in Golden State and soon in New Jersey, maybe very soon with the NBA season coming up in December, maybe even now. So I just don't know how you guys weigh that in. Like maybe you give Nash, if Nash is a great coach, do you give him even more credit for the 7 seconds or less Suns? Because maybe it's more him and less D'Antoni. I don't know.
I mean, I already think that he's one of the greatest minds to play the game. That's not going to really change for me. I mean, I think that I saw a quote from Iverson about Nash saying that he thinks that he could be the next Popovich.
Really?
Yeah, like he thinks that he's that great of a mind that he can do that too. Now, I mean, obviously Iverson has great respect for him. They played same era and everything. So, but I mean, I think as far as the Kobe thing, it's like I told you earlier today. He was a changed man, but I thought he was changed because of his daughter, not because of who he was outside the court. I thought it was all based on. Cause I listened to some stories about how he didn't even want to go back to the NBA games because he couldn't take it. And then his daughter was like, I want to go to these games. And he went, and it wasn't necessarily like he said he didn't really care for it at first, but he loved the fact that the players all respected him and they'd come up to him and they would talk to his daughter, and she loved it. So that's where his love of, going back to the game came. That then he finally let go of the Mamba mentality and he could just be a dad, that his daughter was loving it, right? So, I mean, I don't really think that he would have changed basketball wise at all. I think that a person like he was is just who he was. Like, he had that mentality that, he was going to give everything he had, and he didn't really care about, I don't want to say team, but he had personal things. Like, he wanted to be Michael Jordan. Like, it's known. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to, you can see all his moves, like, down to the T. Like, that was probably his greatest, it was one of his good things, but bad things on the fact that, he read the stories about how Jordan treated players, and then he tried to do it better. But, yes, it was actually worse. He tried to, so I don't know.
I have a similar take. I have a similar take, but I think it's got a little twist. Is that I picture Kobe being just all in. I'm going to be the best at basketball of all time. But I think that mentality really is I'm going to be the best at whatever I'm doing. And so when he got done with basketball, then he's like, I'm going to be the best dad, husband, whatever this other world is. And I think he did it. And I have a lot of respect and love.
Got an Oscar?
People. Yeah, like all of his outside of basketball stuff. And I think you're probably right in terms of how he fell back in love of basketball with the way because of his daughters. And I think that is badass. I think if he decided to go and hang it up and be the best dad and husband and all that he could be, and he did it, rad. Also a little sad if that wasn't the case before, but that's not for me to judge, whatever.
Right.
But that's how I feel about him, is that he went in, and then when he got done and was ready to be done and he proved himself, he's all cool. Now I'm going to go be the best at this from here on out. And it seems like he genuinely did it. And I believe that. And I look up to somebody who can do that. It's a pretty hardcore mentality. It's probably hard to be around him at times
I'm
on
sure.
both sides of that. I bet it was really rough.
Again, great white shark studying.
Yeah, winner's going to win at all costs is a hard person to be around. And that's not my style, but I get it. I see where it comes from. And that's what I think probably happened. And I think that's a legacy. I'd be super proud if it's sad he passed away, but if I passed away with that legacy of killing it like I did and then killing it as a family person the way I did, it's not bad.
No.
Oh, no, I mean, I would definitely
I don't think you said that either. Yeah. It's a good win. But I think that's how I picture his approach, and it makes me feel good to picture his approach that way, even though I was not a fan.
Yeah.
I did read some stuff that said that, whenever he decided he was going to do something, that's the way his mentality was. It was all in it. Like you said, it didn't matter what it was. And I would agree with what you're saying. I'm sure that's what happened is, he was on with basketball, then he just focused his time on his kids and, went all in on it. And then once his daughter liked basketball, I'm sure that, as a guy that lived and died basketball, he was willing to do anything possible to help her be great if she wanted to be. And that had, as a dad, that's like, that's like a dream come true, right? If you were a basketball player and your kid wants to do it.
All day.
100%. All right, well, that brings us to the decision. So who you guys got? Who wants to go first? This is a tough one. I know. No, everyone's gonna say no to this one. They're like, oh my God, I've got to pick. But this is the game. You got to pick between the two of them. There's only one choice. You're the GM. You've got the first pick in the draft. These are the only two available at this point. We're taking AI and Ray Allen off the board for right now.
All right, I'm going based on me as a GM. I am more like Steve Nash, so the logical pick would be to pick Kobe, even though he's not my favorite player. My favorite player of the two is Steve Nash. But the thing is I believe that I could paint a picture for somebody like Kobe that is a picture of winning together, and he can still, and I could paint a picture of him still getting what he wants while getting everybody else what they need, and that's like what I appreciate about Phil Jackson and some of those coaches. So that's why I would pick Kobe. The kind of game I like to watch, 100% of Steve Nash's, but I picked.
You want to keep your job, keep getting those checks. You got it. All right.
I'm actually betting on me, not Kobe Bryant.
I know. I hear you. I know that. No, but I mean, I think it's fair, right? You have to project yourself into this. That's the fun of it. It's like, could I make Kobe even better than he was? He's clearly going to be awesome, but I'm trying in this hypothetical scenario. I'm hoping that he could be at least as good as he was.
Man, and now you got me second guessing. Having so much fun with my mind.
Oh my God. All the skateboarding you're doing and surfing.
I guess the real question for my pick is what team am I that's picking this?
Nope, you don't get to.
Am I a big market or a small market?
Well, you're Philly. You're Philly.
I'm Philly?
Yeah, you're Philly. This is the first pick. Kobe Bryant's
This is so hard for me. Like, I really don't want to do
this.
it.
This is my
Like,
favorite part.
I mean, okay, I mean, people are gonna hate me. I don't care. I mean, Kobe was by far the better basketball player. There's no questions. But I just the style of basketball I like to be played is the way Nash would do it, and I just can't do it. I have to take Nash. Like, it doesn't matter if Kobe's going to score 30. I just don't think that I could find another player that's going to want to play with him early in his career. And I think that Nash can play with anybody. And he's going to elevate. Like, if you could find a player like Dirk to bring in with him, like, them two players, I don't know how many championships they'd win, but every year your team's going to have a chance with the pieces you're going to bring in, right? I don't know if you have Kobe Bryant, if you can literally say, I mean, just look at the teams he didn't have, Shaq or Powell, right? Like,
I feel like you're trying to talk yourself back into
Kobe. No, I'm just saying he didn't do much. Like, I mean, he scored a bunch, but he didn't make his team better.
Yeah.
Like, look at the team that Nash, I can't remember which year it was, but they had the Suns supposed to finish like not even in the playoffs, and they ended up being one of the better teams in the NBA. Like, he had that to where he could raise people on his team to be better, and I just don't think Kobe had that.
Yeah.
Like, until later maybe in his career, like, I just don't think he elevated everybody else. Or, I mean, I think that think about this, like, the kind of player Kobe was, which he wasn't Jordan, right? But if you would have put Jordan in his prime, like, does Jordan not win at least 45 games?
I think so. He did.
I mean, and Kobe won what?
Right.
Like he had, like, horrible seasons.
Yeah.
Well,
he had Smush Parker, too, so let's
but I'm saying you got Jordan's, that ain't going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just taking Nash. Like,
All right.
I'm just, I guess,
He's
being
doing it.
Put it down.
Being in the
Put the chest,
small
put the
white
chest
point guard
piece-
I was.
Put the chest piece down. Take your hand off.
That's what I'm doing.
The move has been made.
And I just want to say that doesn't mean I would take Nash number one in the draft.
Okay, so you're
But
reserving the
against
right to
Kobe-
backtrack next week.
But against Kobe, I would take Nash.
Okay, so I've
That just happened. I can't believe I did it, but
have you guys seen What We Do in the Shadows? Okay, this is your guys' homework in the interim. Fantastic show on FX, really funny. Anyways, there's this funny moment. One of the vampires, it's a vampire thing, so very Halloween centric, that gets a DNA test. He's excited about having 210,000 living relatives. This is Nash. Then there's an energy vampire. This guy always just comes over the top on everybody. Chimes in and notes that Genghis Khan had 16 million living relatives. And this is my Kobe Nash thing. I love Nash so much, and I don't want to not celebrate him, but ultimately Kobe is Genghis Khan, man. Like, he is the man. He's going to do whatever it is to crush everybody. If I'm the GM, I've got to take him. He's going to make me a winner, even if I end up hating myself and everyone else around me. If the name of the game is to win, I just believe that guy will do anything to get us there. I think that Nash would make a more fun experience if we got there, but I'm just not sure he's willing to do anything to get there. He's not willing to sacrifice in the same ways that Kobe is, maybe.
I mean, I think that Nash reached his potential fully for what he had.
I do.
I mean, I wouldn't say he wouldn't be able to do anything. I mean, just wasn't 6'8" and an athletic.
I know.
I mean,
But that's
And he didn't watch tape.
he didn't watch tape.
That's it.
Should have watched tape.
He lived his life, and I just think that matters.
I mean, about every team he was on was a winning team, right?
It was.
I mean,
That's true, though.
that has to be something said about that. And he never had Shaq or Powell.
It's close. I just think.
Well, he
that
had
in the
Shaq,
end-
but it was Shaq
That
after
was old
Shaq.
Shaq.
It was
Yeah.
Shaq after Shaq.
Yeah.
That was spot up.
It was-
He had
was
the
double
desert,
Shaq.
the desert cactus. He had the big cactus. All right, guys. You guys have anything else?
You did it. Congratulations.
All
We
right,
really
man.
did it.
You guys killed it. We got
I
one.
appreciate that you both turned on me and
We got-
made me be the guy that took Nash over Kobe.
Yes.
I love
I had
it.
to do it.
Yeah. We got one more episode, so we're gonna actually settle it. So you don't worry, you'll have a chance to back up and draft Kobe over Nash in the future. We're gonna do the actual redraft of the lottery, the 1996 draft. Again, that Slam magazine is out on newsstands, and you can order it too. It's worth if you haven't looked into the 96 draft. There are so many other guys on there. We'll get to talk about some of them. Stephon Marbury. I don't even know. There's 9 million. John Wallace from Syracuse.
Oh, talking about the draft?
Yeah.
O'Neal.
O'Neal's on there. Jermaine
Ben
O'Neal.
Wallace.
Jermaine, 15th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
The list is pretty
incredible.
Pretty intense.
Peja's in there, right?
Oh yeah, Peja's good. Yeah,
that's your
so,
boy.
Oh man.
So the next one we're gonna do the actual draft.
We're gonna redraft in the next one.
All
right. Till next time.
Thank you for listening to the 19.9 podcast with HVS, the High Volume Shooters. For more information, check out the blog at 19.9.com under HVS. And while you're there, do yourself a favor and pick up some retro college shorts. Till next time.
Drop that butter.
Yeah.
You still recording?
Nah.
The light's still on.
Not yet.